In 30 years of wearing a badge, I thought I'd seen every kind of liar out there. Sweaty ones trying to wriggle out of an arrest, slick ones on the witness stand, and the kind who shake your hand in public then sell you out before breakfast. But the man standing on my grandfather's porch that night, Marcus Vance, he was a new breed of arrogant. The kind who'd never been told no, probably never even heard the word unless he was the one saying it. He wore a shirt that cost more than my truck payment, brought two muscle-bound security guards with matching tactical vests just for show, and waved a fake court order in my face like he was teaching a dog to sit. "You're trespassing on your own land," he said, with a voice that belonged more in a commercial than out here on the banks of Blackwater Lake. That I let him finish his little performance. Couldn't help but notice how he gestured, the way he tried to fill the silence like an actor who'd forgotten his lines. Amateurs always think volume equals power. The woods around us were thick with the smell of pine and damp earth. I set my coffee mug down on the porch railing, felt the cool ceramic under my hand, and looked out across the lake. My sanctuary, my grandfather's legacy, the only place left that still felt solid under my feet after the Riker case ripped my life to shreds. And I wasn't about to let some smug HOA puppet take it away. Vance must have mistaken my silence for weakness. "Are you deaf, old man?" he snapped, his mask slipping, his eyes suddenly mean. "Or do I need to have my men help you off the property?" The two goons with him shifted like they thought they were in a movie. I gave him a tired smile, the kind you save for people who just don't know any better. "Son, let me give you some free advice," I said, my voice steady, calm as the lake behind me. "When you're breaking half a dozen state laws at once, you should at least know who you're breaking them with." He blinked, confusion clouding his cocky expression. "What are you talking about?" "I'm acting with full authority." I stood up, slow enough that the old rocking chair creaked in protest. I saw their eyes adjust. No longer a retiree, now a man who wasn't backing down. "Let's start with that paper in your hand." Section 529, presenting a forged legal document. Then those two friends of yours, impersonating a peace officer. Section 538. Both felonies, Marcus. The kind that make the Attorney General's office pay attention. I watched the color drain from his face, saw his confidence dissolve into panic, like a predator suddenly realizing he'd just tried to pounce on a grizzly. I leaned in, lowered my voice. "You're going to get back in your shiny SUV, you're going to leave, and you're going to tell whoever you really work for that Cole Matt says he's coming for him next." That was it. Suddenly, everyone knew who was really in charge of that porch. They left, red taillights swallowed by dusk. The old familiar satisfaction flickered in my chest, but I knew better than to celebrate too soon. Amateurs run when they're scared. Pros double down. I checked the locks, brought in more firewood, didn't bother with a victory drink. The night was colder than usual, the cabin quieter. I cleaned my service pistol, muscle memory, ritual, focus. My old hound Gus growled from the fireplace, low and deep. Then, everything went dark. The power cut wasn't an accident. 30 years of training took over. I heard a floorboard on the back porch. Too heavy, too slow. They had flashlights. I had darkness and memory. I grabbed my grandfather's shotgun from its hiding spot, chambered around, loudest sound in the world. They came in sloppy, crowbarring the back door, a suppressed pistol leading the way. I didn't hesitate. The 12-gauge roared, sending one of them screaming back into the night. Glass shattered up front, blind fire, bullets shredding old pine where I'd just been. I slipped out a side window into the trees, circled around, watched them drag their wounded friend off into the darkness. They retreated, for now. My hands didn't shake. I was past fear, just cold, clear anger. I called the sheriff's department. Brody answered, too calm, too folksy. "Cole, you sure it wasn't just some local kids?" I described what happened. He promised to send a deputy in the morning. "Yeah, right. I was on my own. The local law part of the problem, not the cure." At sunrise, I patched bullet holes, cleaned blood off the floor, picked buckshot out of old logs. My anger had cooled into resolve. This was war, and they had no idea who they were up against. Then the phone rang. Sam Whitaker, panic in his voice. His granddaughter Jenna hadn't come home. Car still at the library. Friends hadn't seen her, and Brody had told him to wait 24 hours before filing a report. I promised him I'd find her. I drove into town, straight to the sheriff's office. Brody leaning back with his boots up, telling me it's summer. Cole, she'll turn up. I wasn't having it. There was an armed assault on my home less than 10 miles from where she was last seen, I said. Brody just shrugged, mask slipping to reveal nothing behind his eyes. Not fear, not guilt, just emptiness. He made it clear, my badge meant nothing in his county. Back at the cabin, I pulled the SD card from my trail camera. Hours of nothing. Then a blurry SUV in the middle of the night, 2 men dragging a struggling figure. Jenna. Into the back, license plate just clear enough to read. Same SUV Marcus Vance drove. The rage inside me turned molten. This wasn't about land anymore. It was about a child's life that I poured over my grandfather's old survey maps, searching for places hidden from prying eyes, places you could stash a hostage. There was one, the north end of the lake. Unstable geology, marked with a red X. I loaded my boat with dive gear, sonar, and hope. Searched the lake bed for hours until the sonar pinged something man-made. Huge, rectangular, buried deep. I dove into the cold green, found a bunker, concrete, steel, a hatch with an override while someone had left loose. Their mistake. I cracked it open, slipped inside. Inside was like stepping into another world. Sterile corridors, crates of cash and weapons, rooms full of surveillance equipment. They'd been watching the whole county, watching me, too, tracking my movements. I found Jenna on a security feed, alive but terrified. Relief washed over me. Then the sirens blared, red lights flashed, steel doors slammed. I'd walked right into their fortress, and they'd just sealed me and got a voice on the intercom. Silas Thorne, a ghost from old intelligence briefings, supposedly dead. "Welcome, Sheriff Matt," he said, mocking calm. He offered a trade. Midnight at the old dam. Bring the data, come alone, or Jenna disappears forever. It was a setup, and we both knew it. But it was the only card I had. He thought he'd locked me up, but he'd left me with the controls. I hacked the system, overloaded the power grid, triggered a failsafe that unlocked the cell doors. Jenna and I crawled through a drainage conduit, up a rusted ladder, out into the storm. Rain hammered the lake. Waves crashed against the boat, but we fought through. 2 souls desperate to get home. I hid Jenna, then faced Thorne at the dam. He was waiting, all cool confidence, talking about power and chaos, calling me broken, calling Jenna leverage. The fight spilled onto the rain-slicked catwalk, fists, knife, blood, thunder all around. In the chaos, Thorne slipped, his grip failed, and he vanished into the roaring water below. I staggered back, bleeding, but alive. Jenna was safe. That we limped home, dawn breaking over the lake, pain burning in my arm, but my resolve unbroken. I called in the cavalry, state police, tactical teams, attorney general. By noon, choppers were thundering over the lake, SWAT teams rolling into town, Brody in cuffs, Vance sobbing in silk pajamas. They called me a hero, but I just felt tired. When it was over, Jenna handed me a wooden loon sheet carved, "So you don't get lonely." The ghosts of my past felt lighter. Weeks later, as the lake sparkled and the cabin walls were whole again, a single envelope arrived. No return address, just a black card with a silver oak and 7 stars. I'd seen that symbol before, years ago, in files I was never meant to read. A warning that some wars never really end. They just go deeper underground. Justice was done on Blackwater Lake, but the story isn't over. Not for me. Not for any of us who stand up when the world wants us to sit down. You tell me, where does justice end and survival begin? Leave your thoughts below. The fight's not finished, not by a long shot.